Graham is an 11th grader at Terra Linda High School. He's 16 years old. I was having a very stressful time when I was pregnant with Graham because I had a very stressful job. I was really exhausted and not feeling well. Towards the end of the pregnancy, I started having high blood pressure. Doctors supposedly were watching me very carefully, and they weren't, because I went in for all sorts of tests and everything, and everything was fine. And then a week before Graham was born, I went in, and the doctor said, I would be going into labor any minute, and that, that I should just wait, and my labor would start. And so I went home, and nothing happened, and the baby wasn't moving. Graham was born, and there was very little heart rate, and the baby was almost dead when he came out and had an APGAR score of 1. The doctors revived him immediately, and so they told me that he was going to be okay. So they sent Graham to Children's California Medical Center in the city, and I stayed at the hospital because I couldn't leave because I had just had surgery. And I didn't know what to do, because at that point I hadn't even thought of the fact that something might be wrong with Graham. I just thought we had a close call and he would be fine. When I was 15 and 16 years old, I worked at this camp in the summer teaching disabled children how to swim. I was very devoted to doing this job. I would get in the water with these kids that were in wheelchairs, and I just saw how their faces lit up and how good they felt in the water. I did that for 5 years. So I find it really ironic, but it's probably, in a weird way, made me prepared for having a special needs child. I feel that with a child with special needs, they should have the opportunity to do things that normal children get to do, even though it's so much more hard to do everything. With a child that's in a wheelchair or a special needs child, a child with autism has such a difficult time because their sensory system is so sensitive. They can't be around loud noises, and so you really have to just try your hardest to make it happen for them. But I feel like it's very well worth the effort because they don't take those moments for granted. Graham is actually easier to take care of now because when he was younger, he had a very sensitive nervous system, and he was extremely fussy, and he was not able to just be with himself. He always wanted someone right there, and now he's able to, at least for short periods of time, entertain himself by playing his radio or watching a movie or just being in the bathtub a little bit alone. They're just very loving and caring about them. I think that probably grown more having a child that has special needs, even though it's made my life so much harder than if I had just a typical kid. And they're not jaded, and they're not bitter. There's something incredibly pure about them and their dispositions.